Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to this very special edition of Changing the Questions. Now, it's not that very special way like the after-school special where we're going to talk to you about drugs. We don't really care all that much about that.
We could talk about drugs if you want.
We could. My name is Paul Laporte. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mike Miner.
How's it going, guys?
We also have a special guest host joining us today, 2CW's Patrick Fenton. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
After untold audio issues, we finally got this thing rolling along, and the reason that we have Patrick here with us today is we are going to be discussing Squared Circle Wrestling 2CW's final weekend. This is a company that has been going for how many years, Patrick?
10 years.
So they're going on a decade. Unfortunately, they're closing their doors, but they are going out in a big way. 4 shows over the span of this final weekend, 2 being done in the same day. And we're going to talk a little bit about those. We're going to talk about the history of 2CW because 2CW, for people in Central and Upstate New York, it's really been, I don't want to take from something else, but it's kind of been our ECW.
It's been a mainstay.
Yeah.
And, it's bittersweet to see it go. It's unfortunate, but,
I think it's bitter personally.
Well, yeah, more than anything. I mean, it's kind of a blow, but it is a blow. Not kind of a blow, but it is a blow. But, going out on their own terms, we should mention.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's not, it's not them like, oh, hey, we can't run shows anymore.
Dragging and limping until the end.
They decide that they're going out, and they're going out in a big way.
Absolutely.
Patrick, if you can, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about 2CW for people who may not have had the luxury of going to a show?
Sure. 2CW is a promotion obviously based out of Syracuse, but we run all over New York, from Watertown to Binghamton, from Rome, Utica, even out almost to Albany, all the way to Rochester for a little bit. It has been voted the top indie group with PW Insider for 3 years straight. We've also had the match of the year 3 times straight. So basically saying our fan base is very loyal. And like you guys equated earlier with the ECW fans, that is very much like our fans. They will get us where we want to go. They will support us anywhere and anything we do. And, it just come to the time where, the powers that be have decided that it's time. What else can you do? What more can you do? And they want to go out on top. And who gets to do that? Not many, really. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely. And, you talk about what else can be done. Really, there have been so many names that have gone through that company that are really a who's who of not just independent wrestling, but now just mainstream wrestling as well. Obviously, Kevin Steen, a.k.a. Kevin Owens, was 2CW champion at one point.
Yep.
Luke Harper, who is Brody Lee. There's been so many people who have gone through that, it's really interesting to see where those people have gone. Once they moved on from 2CW, they really moved on to the absolute highest stage. And on the other side of that, one of the things I'll always remember 2CW the most for was being able to see one of my personal favorites of all time, Nigel McGuinness. I got to see him on 2 separate occasions, including on his farewell tour through Squared Circle Wrestling. So
yeah, that was an awesome night. That was actually the first, I believe. Don't quote me on this. I believe that was the first time we were voted for promotion of the year, but that was also voted match of the year.
Yeah.
Yes, that was.
I remember
that was the. It's funny because both times I saw him, he wrestled Eddie Edwards both times, and both times those matches were awesome. We've also had AJ Styles come through. Just so many names. And speaking of names, not just people who have come through in the past, but people who are going to be here for this show. One of the main reasons that we're doing this is to promote this upcoming weekend and talk about that. So let's go ahead and get into that. Let's start off with night 1. Which is going to be called Christmas Chaos. That is going to be in Binghamton, New York. The main event for the show is going to be a special attraction match between Hybrid Sean Carr, who is really a homegrown 2CW guy.
Fantastic.
Very good wrestler. I actually saw him recently In Your Face Wrestling. I was actually doing commentary for that show, and he wrestled Bobby Ocean, and that was a fantastic match. A really, really great match. So Sean Carr, really a homegrown 2CW product, taking on safe to say a legend at this point. I mean, I know he's still fairly young compared to other legends, but Matt Hardy, who is somebody who's literally been around forever and gone everywhere.
I was looking at network videos, WWE network videos a couple days ago, and the guy's plastered on Raw from 1995, 1996, early on. So, I mean, like, he's what is he, 40 now, and he's been around that long?
I don't even know if he's that old yet,
go.
but he's been
I'm
around.
gonna say he's 38, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
I didn't even think he was. I didn't think he was quite 40. He's still,
even if he's 40, that's still young.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know.
So these two are going to go at it. Now, this was, I believe, originally going to be billed for the heavyweight championship, but obviously plans changed after the last card. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just want to get your guys' thoughts on this match. Patrick, let's start off with you.
Oh, this is going to be definitely the main event. Sean Carr is such a huge draw, a huge mainstay for Binghamton. Obviously, a Binghamton boy. We even bill him as Binghamton's own Sean Carr, hybrid Sean Carr. And yeah, originally it's supposed to be a title match. So him and Matt Hardy, it's going to be just awesome. I mean, it was supposed to be a title match because we're bringing in Matt again. He's been around, wrestled for us probably half dozen times at this point. And he just loves wrestling these up and coming kids. And just to have Sean be able to have that experience with somebody, like you said, like a legend, like Matt Hardy, who has been everywhere, was in WWE for 10, 15 years, went to TNA, just been all around the world, and it's going to be awesome. Of course, I would say that about everything, but, being such a fan and working for the company, but really, I mean, Sean Carr's, he proved it winning the title. He's had a really hot run, especially the last 18 months. And Matt Hardy always puts on really good matches. That's why he's still in such a demand. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome match. And both of them are really one of my top guys. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Minor, what do you think about this?
I think it'll be a great back and forth match. Matt Hardy, like we mentioned, he's been around, he's been a mainstay. And Sean Carr, hot run the last couple of months, and it's only going to help Sean Carr, and it's going to help keep Matt Hardy on his toes, excuse me. And I mean, anybody that steps in the ring with Matt Hardy, they're going to get, I guess, a rub off of this. A couple of years ago, look at Kevin Steen. Yeah. He was wrestling him.
Absolutely.
And, he's dependable in the ring, and, Sean Carr's going to have his work cut out for him.
Absolutely. So moving on down the card, because we do have a lot of stuff to fill in this fairly short amount of time. This is the match that I'm probably looking forward to more than any others.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
The 6-man tag team match. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega taking on To Infinity and Beyond, which is Colin Delaney and Cheech and Eddie Edwards. As soon as I saw Kenny Omega's name on this card, instantly this was the card. And since then he has been added to the Syracuse show, I believe, right, Patrick?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, so he has been added on, but when I saw he was going to be here, I was thinking, I'm probably not going to be able to get to all these shows, but I saw his name, I knew instantly which one I was going to go to. Kenny Omega is from Canada, but he does not wrestle in North America very much anymore. He is
primarily Japan.
Huge staple in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I believe he's the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion right now.
Correct.
Yes, I have not caught. I'm a little behind on my New Japan watching, but I knew he held the title at least up to where I was watching. So he still has the title. He's the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, which is an unbelievably prestigious title.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we really don't need to talk about the Young. Everybody knows who the Young Bucks are at this point. Not only have they appeared multiple times in 2CW, they've appeared everywhere else. However, this is special because this weekend is the Young Bucks' last independent showing before they move exclusively to New Japan and Ring of Honor.
Yes, that is correct. Unless your initials are PWG, they will not be working any other North American indies for the foreseeable future.
So you have a guy who wrestles in North America very rarely, two guys who are really only going to wrestle for one promotion in North America, and these guys are going to be teaming up, and they're going to be taking on some other guys who are Colin Delaney and Cheech, both 2CW staples, but also both guys who have wrestled in promotions all around the world, big and small, and then, of course, Eddie Edwards. Everybody in this match is a world-traveled wrestler who has wrestled at literally the highest levels of the business. This match is going to be amazing. Like this is going to be a complete barn burner of a match.
Omega might have sold the ticket for you, but Cheech sold it for me.
That's true.
Shout out to Cheech.
Cheech tends to sell the tickets for most of the people in our group. We have our own little Cheech fan club. But
Cheech Army.
Before I get to what your guys' thoughts on this match, I want to point out the fact that The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time that they're teaming together. They're in the Bullet Club, obviously. They're stable. They interact. But this is the first time where they've worked as a tag team. Normally, when the Young Bucks are working in a trios team, they're working with AJ Styles. And I think one of the most interesting thing about the Young Bucks is not only do they work well together, but when they're tagged with somebody else, they tend to incorporate that wrestler's moves, that wrestler's style into their own. And I am incredibly excited to see the kind of things that they are, the kind of mad scientist
symbiotic kind of
craziness
relationship,
that they're going to come up with Kenny Omega. It's just going to be absolutely awesome.
It's going to be crazy.
What do you guys have to say about this match, Patrick?
I think you guys covered it. I don't know what else I can say. The Bullet Club, like you said, huge over. Everybody knows them. Everybody's got the shirts. Everybody wants to see them. And Kenny Omega, like you said, doesn't wrestle in North America very often. To be able to get them three together as a team is ridiculous. And, I really want to put over Cheech and Colin, because those are guys that, and Eddie Edwards, too. They're all 2-stubby guys. They've been there forever, 2007, 2008. So they've been working for the company for a very long time. And I said it on the write-up, in the 2 sets write-up. Cheech is probably the most underrated guy we have on the roster.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Colin Delaney
and Colin's 1A. You know what I mean? Colin's right behind him.
Colin's coming to his own very much so in the last couple of years. He has grown and by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably more than anybody else that we've seen.
He had a hardcore match in Rome, New York about 2 years ago.
I'll never forget that.
And unfortunately,
probably longer than that, but you know what? Doesn't matter. It was memorable.
And unfortunately, because we had kind of the craziness going on, I don't have my notes. I forgot who his opponent was for that match.
Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen, right?
Yes. That match
was fantastic.
Was probably one of my very favorite 2CW matches. So yeah, absolutely. We're not selling any of those guys short. Cheech, obviously, we've loved him for a very long time. I remember watching him up in Canada when I was going to IWS shows with Up in Smoke when he was with Cloudy. He was tagging with him. Cheech has been around forever. He is definitely one of the top heels in the company. He is just really, really fun to watch, both in the ring and kind of his antics on the way to it. And then Eddie Edwards is just...
Eddie, Eddie's just Eddie Edwards. He's just...
We don't want to
cut your chest off and call it a day.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So moving on to the next match. This one's going to be for the 2CW Heavyweight Championship. And if the 6-man tags didn't sell me, this one would have. Death Machine, Sami Callihan, the new 2CW champion, going to be taking on the challenger, the Peacock, Dalton Castle. Yep. This... if you think of two polar opposites in wrestling...
I remember Dalton Castle's debut with 2CW.
So do I.
Yeah,
I remember
they go from, the crowd goes from who are you to what we see today.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalton Castle's 2015 has been probably maybe the best 2015 of any wrestler out there. He went from just kind of trying to break into the Ring of Honor to being one of their big standout guys. Everybody loves him. 2CW had a kind of a preview into that, and we've kind of known for a little while the kind of just entertainment that guy can provide. And, I said that these guys are polar opposites, but I think the thing that intrigues me the most about this match is that Sami Callihan, who is just recently came out of his NXT run, and he just lit the independent scene on fire. He has been everywhere. I swear I get advertisement for 50 shows a week. He's in 40 of them. He's a workhorse, man. He is all over the independent scene at this point. And he's also just, his style is so smash mouth, so hard hitting, so bruising. Yep. And, you wouldn't expect Dalton Castle to be able to match that, but I'm sure he's going to be able to. So I'm very interested to see what those two are going to bring out in each other in that match.
I think Castle will match him on a very different level. Very, very different level. But it's going to be great. I think Callahan's going to go for the smash mouth style, and Castle's going to go for the more technical style. And if he has to pull out a few things, he will.
Yeah, Dalton Castle, an accomplished amateur wrestler, and he carries that pedigree over to the ring. He is very good with throwing suplexes. Very strong guy.
If he has to get rough, he'll get rough.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm just really interested to see. Sammy's going to be right in his face. He's going to bust him up immediately. I'm gonna love to see how Dalton responds.
And Dalton will drop on his head. That's just what's gonna happen.
I'm looking forward to seeing Sami again. We happened to see him back, I think, in May for the NXT tour, and I was wondering when we were going to see him again, because you never know when they're going to come back around these parts. But Fortunately, 2CW was able to scoop him up for their last few shows, and we have the pleasure of seeing him again.
And we've already seen one title change recently, obviously with Sammy coming back and taking off from Sean Carr.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me to see another one that night. Not at all.
Exactly. And Sean just won the title of the show previous to that.
Yeah. So
that title's been a hot potato in the last 3 shows.
Yeah. I mean, there's just the top of the card is so evenly matched, and there's so many good guys there that you don't know at the end of this weekend. We don't know who's going to be the champion by any means, and it may not be either of these guys. Just
look at the match the next night. I mean, I know we'll get to it, but even if Sammy does get past Dalton, he's got more challengers coming up.
And to think about the championship, going from Carr to Callahan, it's not a boring title change. It's
No, like I said, all of these matches are just going to be so
fantastic.
Good
Great.
and entertaining. Absolutely. All right, so moving on down the card, we're going to get a little bit more rapid fire with these. Next up, we have Yosuke Kodama taking on Jason X. Yosuke Kodama coming over from Japan. Is this his first U.S. run, Patrick?
In the spring of 2014, and did our Living on the Edge weekend that weekend.
Okay, so this is his second appearance stateside, or at least for 2CW. I don't know if he wrestled anywhere, any other independents. I'm not sure.
He's coming off a run in Canada, I believe, I was told, and kind of now is back down in the States doing a run with us.
Okay, great. So he's going to be taking on Juggernaut Jason X, which if you watch 2CW, you know this guy. Jason X has been...
mainstay.
I swear, I feels like he's been in every show that 2CW's ever had. It's got to be his percentage of appearances has to be one of the highest in that company.
I remember when he was opening matches, and
he started off opening, and then he went all the way up to the top of the card, and now he's taking on international talent.
Very, very dependable.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And I just did the research on the all-time roster, and I want to say, and I'm not 100% on this, that he has the most matches in 2CW.
I've been to probably around 24 2CW shows, and I think he's been at every one.
Yeah.
So
he's only missed I want to say he's missed 2 shows, and that was
how many?
Out of 100. Now we're at 122.
Oh, gosh.
Wow,
that's amazing.
Because when we're done, it's gonna be 125 shows.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's amazing. So it's really cool to see a guy who's just you've seen kind of throughout his career taking on somebody who's really just coming in for a couple runs last year and this year. It's going to be great. Speaking of 2 other guys who have a long history with this company, of course, Jay Freddy, who has been one of the top names in 2CW for a very long time, taking on
favorites.
Yeah, taking on another well-known name, Slick Wagner Brown. Slick Wagner Brown was actually at the first show I ever saw, first 2CW show, which was in 2006.
Scorpio?
Yes, it's against Too Cold Scorpio.
At the Utica show?
Yes, that was the Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams, yes.
Yeah, that was their rematch from the On Center show.
I still remember the advertisements for that show, too, strangely
I have it on the DVD rack behind us.
Cool.
So we have Slick Wagner Brown, Jay Freddy, both these guys, long history in 2CW. Jay Freddy just came back from a tour of Japan, so he is furthering his career and really making himself known with Wrestle One out there. Slick Wagner Brown, of course, has wrestled all over the world himself. These 2 guys, for as big as the names are above them, these 2 guys are going to look at that as a challenge. And they're going to say, okay, well, everybody came here to see the Young Bucks or Sami Callihan or whoever. We're going to try and show them up.
And Jay Freddy, he keeps doing things right. As far as I know, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a little bit from him saying that he has an appearance on SmackDown.
That's true. Yeah, I did hear that he was in Jersey for the SmackDown taping on Tuesday. So he's continuing to really. He is very hungry, and Slick Wagner Brown. Both of these guys are going to look to steal the show.
Oh, absolutely. And Freddie defeated Slick Wagner Brown back for his first title.
Yes, he did.
Back in July of 2011. So, there is history there. And like you said, these guys, all of these guys, everybody from the main event down, or anybody that's underneath the main event, is going to be looking to top the main events. Every one of them. And these guys are just 2 of the same. They're going to go out there and show everybody what they can do. And yeah, Slick's been around forever, but the dude can go, and he can put on 20-minute fantastic matches. He is just as good as he was when he stepped in 2006.
Definitely is. And he's got a certain snap to his moveset,
Yes.
which makes everything look brutal. And Jay Freddy, he's a throwback to guys like Dynamite and Bret Hart. Very technical.
Oh, he'll be very happy to hear you say that.
I'm happy saying it because those guys, were heroes of mine. He's got that style, and for somebody that, he didn't go through the dungeon, he's probably as close as I think you're going to get to somebody that was actually out of there.
Yeah, that's a really
if
good
you
point.
look at his style,
Okay.
Well, it's watching the tapes and it's who he's trained with. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just...
Yeah.
He's taken a lot from a lot of people he's worked with and incorporated it into what he does.
And he hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
It's still doing that.
Keep expanding and keep hungry,
Yep. Keep evolving. That's how you stay relevant in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and just name off these two matches, and then we'll move on to the next night. We have... and I apologize. Earlier on, I said that this was Christmas Chaos. That is the next night's. This is the name of this card is 2CW. Nothing Left to Prove. And the remaining matches, we have Chainsaw Joe Gacy taking on Super Cop Dick Justice, and then we have a tag team attraction, which will be Brute Van Slyke and Kevin the Man Graham taking on Isis Effects and Ted Good. Studley Steve McKenzie and Guerrero Loco, that's going to be a triple threat tag team match. So that's going to be rounding out the first night of 2CW's weekend.
Well, there's also one more other match. There's Pepper Parks is going against Kevin Matthews, who's debuting for the company that night.
Okay, great.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's actually not on the website, so that is...
It's probably on the message board, which gets updated more than the web.
Okay, fair enough. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we've got you here, sir.
Couple of appearances too by the Beast, Pete the Order, Ben Hameen, Rob Cook, and some more.
And Michael Christopher will have another open challenge as well.
Okay,
Cool.
Is Jessica Havoc going to be at this one, or is she for the other cards?
I believe she is only on the 20th.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next night. We have 2CW's Christmas Chaos 2. This is going to be taking place at the Chemung County Family Fitness Center, and that's going to be in Elmira, New York.
Yes.
And our main event for that one, as it stands right now, for the 2CW Heavyweight Championship, Sami Callihan is going to be taking on Matt Hardy for the 2CW Championship. Now, Patrick, let me ask you, if Dalton Castle manages to defeat Sami Callihan the previous night, is he going to be wrestling Matt Hardy, or would this just be a non-title match? Do you know?
This will be a non-title match because I want to say Dalton has other commitments with Ring of Honor
Okay.
because their final battle show is the same night as this show.
Oh, of course.
And if he does win the championship, I would suspect that the title would be defended on the 20th.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we have Sami Callihan taking on Matt Hardy. This is I don't even really have words for this match. This is going to be really
Fun.
Yeah,
Exciting.
Absolutely. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Words. Yes, that's good. Those are always good in a podcast.
Sammy can get nasty, and Matt's proven he can get nasty as well. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. This is a thing of both of these guys are very comfortable with wrestling outside the rules if they need to. So that's definitely something we could see here. Or it could go the complete opposite direction, and these two could both try and prove to each other that they're just a better pure wrestler. And it could go that way. This match is really, fun. Fun's a good way to put it, but it's a powder keg. This could go in any direction. And
high impact, I think, is the best description because of their moves and what they do. Like high impact is what this is going to be.
I think it'll be a slow build, and then boom, powder keg.
All right, so moving on to the next match, we have a elimination match. So we got a good old-fashioned three-way dance, Hybrid Sean Carr versus Diehard Eddie Edwards versus Juggernaut Jason Axe. Again, this is just a case of three guys who have been in 2CW forever. This is going to be a hell of a match. I always like to see the elimination style of the triple threat match, the triangle match, the three-way dance, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you definitely have one man left standing. You don't have any questions left unanswered.
Yeah, it's really it's two matches in one. Like it really
Yeah.
is. You have a triple threat match, and then you have a one-on-one between two guys who've just really already worn down and are just going to try and throw everything at each other.
Some of my favorites were from back in the day with ECW with Little Guido, Super Crazy, Tajiri.
Yep.
Fantastic matches, and a very underutilized style of match is this elimination triple threat three-way dance match.
Yep.
So glad to be seeing this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and involved are just fantastic. Like, I'm a huge supporter of Jason X, and I know that I might be in the minority on that. Some of the crowd, some of the faithful at 2CW, and then obviously we've already talked about Sean Carr and Eddie Edwards and what they bring to the table, and just the three of these guys and what they can do, and what they'll come up with. We'll see.
Oh
right?
yeah, and that's the thing with the triple threat matches. It's what they'll come up with is a really good way to put that, because these guys are just they're going to look to do things to each other in very creative ways, and a triple threat match just opens up so many more possibilities than just a regular one-on-one match. There's going to be some very, very interesting highlights to this one, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, moving on to our next match, we have Brute Van Slyke and Kevin the Man Graham taking on Hurricane Helms and Chainsaw Joe Gacy. So Hurricane Helms going to be making an appearance for 2CW. Obviously, he has a very storied history all around the world, wrestling since he was probably before he could drive.
Yeah.
So, and he was actually one of my favorites in the last days of WCW.
That ladder match.
Oh yeah, the ladder match with 3 Count, the Young Dragons, and Evan Courageous and Jimmy Yank was it, and it's still to this day one of my favorite ladder matches. And unfortunately, from those guys who kind of came out of Omega, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Shannon Moore, thank you, and himself. Hurricane's always been kind of under the radar, but I think he's really one of the more technically proficient of that group, and I've always loved watching that guy wrestle. So
very, very crisp and solid in the ring, if you will.
And it's going to be interesting. So, and he's also somebody who is a tag team specialist. He has wrestled in a lot of tag team matches. I don't know if he's tagged with Joe Gacy before, but I think that this is going to be an interesting test for the 2CW originals, Brute Van Slyke and Kevin Graham.
Yeah, Brute. I'm so used to calling him Punisher. Brute Van Slyke and Kevin Graham, former tag team champions. Actually, they are the only tag team in history to repeat as tag team champions in 2CW. So to have them go against a very unique team, like you said earlier, with Hurricane and Joe Gacy. I don't believe they've ever teamed up before, but I don't know that for 100%. But just the styles that they have. If you look at it, it's kind of like Brute and Gacy are like the big power, just will demolish you and beat you down. And then you got Kevin Graham and Hurricane, who kind of have similar styles in that they can do the technical style, you can do some flying. So they're really like an evenly matched team. It'll be very fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing I was thinking too, is that you have the lighter, quicker, more agile wrestlers taking on just Brute Van Slyke and Kevin Graham. They really just specialize in beating you down and throwing you around.
And throwing.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tag team attraction, as the card has put it, for sure. Speaking of special attractions, next matchup we have Rhino taking on Pepper Parks. Rhino, of course, just coming off of a big run in NXT, culminating with the TLC pay-per-view and then the hardcore match on Raw the night afterwards. So he has been very busy at a very high level once again, and now he's going from that
profile's been raised
back to 2CW. And Pepper Parks is another guy who has been starting to make a big name for himself outside of 2CW, coming back, and these two are going to go against each other head to head.
Yeah, Rhino, like you said, just coming off the big NXT run, the WWE, being on Raw, being on TLC. Not unusual, and this is very weird to say, but not unusual for a WWE contracted guy to be in a 2CW ring. It happens quite often if you go back into history. Daniel Bryan was here. Yeah. Sami Callihan, when he wrestled his last match, and RVD for an evening with Mr. Monday Night, were both technically under WWE contracts when they had that match. So, it's pretty cool that can happen. And just the match, this match will be special attraction for sure, because Rhino, his power, basically like we were talking about just in the previous match. He has a power game. He could just ground and pound. And then Pepper Park, mixed, he could do, one of his finishing moves is off the top rope. But he's a power guy. You can see his build. He could body slam you and power slam you and power bomb you just like the best of them. So it'll be a cool mix of action there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Pepper Parks is going to look to take an opponent like Rhino and really, use this extra exposure because of this match to really up his game and show what he can do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And moving on down the card, we have a couple more familiar faces from the previous evening. Slick Wagner Brown taking on Yosuke Kadama. This is going to be very interesting, I think. And you know, we talked before about, a match that might steal the show as Dark House, which Slick Wagner Brown was involved in that one too, that we talked about with Jay Freddy. This one really is just kind of a wild card match, and I think these two are going to work really well together, and I think that this is going to be a really, really spectacular match. I think this is going to probably be one of the highlights of the show that people aren't going to necessarily expect.
Oh, definitely, because an Elmira crowd, will they have known who Kadama is? Will they not? Maybe not. They'll know Slick from coming to the last few shows because he's, again, one of those guys who's been on the majority of the shows. So when you don't know who you're seeing, kind of don't have a feel for what's going to happen, and then when you just see the kid work and what he can do and what Slick can do, I mean, like you said, it'll be a dark horse match. It'll be a wild card. It'll be interesting to see what they can do together.
Very interesting clash in style. So
yeah, and you made a good point, Pat. I love watching not just the match, but a crowd when a guy that people haven't seen on TV and they haven't seen locally comes in, and you're right, people kind of don't know what to expect. Maybe some people will be in Binghamton the night before, will have seen him, or maybe some people who have seen him from his previous run here, but they don't necessarily know what they're going to get, and it's always kind of fun to watch people see things that you've seen or that you're expecting, and they're just seeing it for the first time. And I think that's going to be one of those things. That's going to be one of those things we're going to see here. And I think that Slick Wagner Brown is a great guy because he's just going to be an excellent opponent for anybody.
Oh yeah. You could put you could say that about the majority of the roster. You could put any of those guys against any number of other guys, and you will get a lot of great combinations. And that's what's fun about these last few shows, and especially, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, where the Sunday show, there are no matches announced, so you don't even know what you're going to get. And that's kind of, you could do that on any show, really.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and round out the card. We have Tracy Smothers and Rob Cook taking on Ben Hameen and Pete DB Order. Tracy Smothers, that was not a name I was expecting to see in this lineup when I first went over it. You have any interesting stories about landing Tracy Smothers?
Well, he was actually supposed to be in at the first Christmas Chaos last year, and he had an injury. And this is kind of like a makeup. It took some time to put that together. First, rehabbing his injury, obviously, and then finding an opening date to put it together. It just so happened that it was almost a year later that it ended up working out. But that's pretty much where it is. We had him booked for something at the first Elmira, or at the first arena in Elmira, and it just didn't work out because of the injury. So we wanted to bring him back, and it just worked out that it ended up being at this show.
All right, and then we also have Isis Effects and Ted Goods, a.k.a. the All Winners Club, taking on Studley, Steve McKenzie, and Guero Loco, also known as the Electric Dream Machine, and that tag team match is going to it's the first listed, but we don't know necessarily the order. We also have the Michael Christopher Open Challenge, and the Beast is going to be making an appearance as well. So that is the second night in Elmira, New York. And then, of course, on Sunday, we're capping everything off with two CWs, two sets, two final shows taking place at 3:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. at the Pastime Athletic Club. Are there still tickets available for that show, or are they sold out?
They are sold out again. We opened up some, I want to say 3 weeks ago, when we went in and kind of took the initial look at the building. We decided to move the merchandise and the food down to the second level, because if anybody knows the Pastime Athletic Club, we are up on the second level. So we moved all the merch and the food down a level. So that opened up some tickets. Once we get the ring set up and everything, we might be able to, squish a couple more people in there. But for all intents and purposes, it is a sold out show.
Okay, and now, as we mentioned previously, there are no matches that will be announced, and if you weren't able to get tickets, fortunately, 2CW will be providing the show for free on internet pay-per-view, and will that just be through their YouTube channel for that, or what will fans need to do to be able to see that show? You'll
have to go to 2CW.com. It is free, but there is kind of a catch to this. We tried to do it through the YouTube channel, and when we tested it out over the last 2 weeks, the feed was not good at all. We kept getting a lot of buffering issues, a lot of video quality would go to hell. So we've moved it over to the Ustream.tv. Okay. And so what we've done is, if you want to watch it for free, you can, but there will be some ads pop up, much like if you're watching it on YouTube. You get those little boxes at the bottom. I don't see what that would be a problem. But if that annoys you, you can purchase the show for $3.99 and get it ad free. But I think majority of people won't care about the ads, and they'll just go with the free stream.
Either way, small price to pay
for 6 hours or more of show.
Yeah. And even if it was on YouTube, YouTube does it will, even for live feed, stop the feed and run ads in between.
Yes.
So it was really just changing the platform. But yeah, I mean, honestly, people I'm always, the person for, people just trying to get as much as they can, but $4, just like, it's 6 hours of really probably some of the best independent wrestling around. Like, really, if you're gonna enjoy the show, just get the ad-free experience and just plug it into your TV, sit back and just enjoy it.
Absolutely,
now,
you can watch it on any kind of platform. I have the app on my phone. We ran it on through the laptop. I know that you can go through like your browser on like a PlayStation and check it out. So there's all kinds of ways to watch it. And for the people that are going, I believe that there's going to be a live feed in the bar as well. So in case you want to get out and not sit down for 3 hours and you want to go get a drink or something, you can still see what's going on downstairs in the bar.
Okay, now as we had mentioned before, that there are no matches announced for this. 2CW has been very tight-lipped, and I don't suppose we're going to be able to pry anything out of you, are we?
Well, if I knew something, we might be able to work something out.
Okay.
However, even management knows not to tell me anything. So.
Fair enough. Okay. Well,
I can tell you that there are surprises, and I do. I've heard through the rumors of who may or may not be there, and of course, I can't tell any of that. But I do. There will be old 2CW guys that you don't expect, that have worked for us in the past. We've worked out some things for that. Like Too Cold Scorpio. I mean, obviously that was announced, so I can say that. He's returning for one last show. So there's one of the names that we've had in probably a dozen times. But yeah, there's going to be a lot. I mean, the roster is ridiculous. I mean, have you guys seen the list that's been going around?
Yep. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and go over that list right now. So the wrestlers announced for the show. Again, these are not matches. These are just a list of people who are announced. We have the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson. We have AJ Styles, Eddie Edwards, Sami Callihan, Johnny Gargano, Jessica Havoc, Candice LeRae, as you mentioned, Too Cold Scorpio, AR Fox, which I'm looking forward to, Dalton Castle, Yosuke Kadama, Hybrid Sean Carr, Juggernaut Jason Axe, Brute Van Slyke, and more. I'm sure it's going to be many more beyond this.
Yes.
How can a card get better than this?
Yeah, I mean, and just
just wait. Don't even ask that question. Just wait.
Why did I ask that question?
So, just taking a look at some of the standouts. Obviously, we have a lot of the people who appeared on the previous nights, and we've talked about them at length. But of course, you have AJ Styles, who is is probably the best wrestler in the world. Many people will call him that. I definitely very, very hard to argue with. He's
up there, yeah.
Certainly one of he's been multiple time IWGP heavyweight champion. He's been multiple time TNA champion, Ring of Honor champion. The only place he hasn't been is WWE, which I would like to point out. They have offered him multiple contracts and he has turned them down. So this is a case of the best wrestler in the world who isn't in WWE, and again by his own choice, is here. And this isn't the first time he's been here before. I had to throw this memory in of I was actually at the Pastime Athletic Center when I saw him. AJ Styles was taking on Vita Loca at the time.
Vita Loca,
yeah.
El Guerrero.
Many names. He killed that poor man. I remember him. Loca went off the top wrote for Hurricane Rana, AJ caught him in like a powerbomb style, but instead of dropping him, he just like flung him into the ropes.
Yes.
And it's just AJ Styles can be a terrible, horrible person at times. I'm really looking forward to seeing him then. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing him again. I'm also looking forward to seeing AR Fox, who's done a couple spots for 2CW. He is really one of the hottest independent workers right now. Every time you see the guy, he puts on an amazing performance, and he does something that he hasn't done before.
The man's a highlight reel whenever you watch him in the ring. It's amazing to see him and what he does.
Absolutely. And speaking of people who it's amazing to see, Too Cold Scorpio, who, as we mentioned, been wrestled for 2CW a bunch. I saw him first in person in 2006. I just saw him at the last time I've seen him recently was at the King of the Trios tournament.
Still going strong.
Yeah, for Chikara. And here is this guy who is in his 40s with wrestlers who are early 20s, late teens, and he's keeping up with them and still doing everything he could do before. So he really hasn't lost a step, and he's here again for 2CW's final run. There's just, and of course, Johnny Gargano, who has been making a name for himself in NXT. Jessica Havoc, who's one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the world right now. Candice LeRae, who's also up there. I love women's wrestling, and I'm looking forward to see. Right now, you would think that those two are going to face each other, and that may be the case. Who knows? They may be bringing somebody else in. That's kind of the fun of this mystery.
Maybe they'll tag up and kick a couple of guys' asses.
I would love to see that. Or just some intergender matches in general. Like, I would love to see Jessica Havoc taking on Jason Axe.
One of my favorite 2CW moments is when Jessica Havoc went against Captain out in Louisville a couple years ago, and she handed his ass to him.
Yes, that's
Early
true.
Captain, by the way.
That's true. We do not. That doesn't, just because these are the only two women announced does not mean that they're wrestling each other. They could be wrestling somebody else, some other women. They could be wrestling other men. Doesn't matter. One of the nice things about 2CW.
You never know.
Yeah, this is just going to be really this is
super
the end
fun.
of a fireworks show.
Yeah,
where you have Thursday night, boom, boom, boom. Friday, boom, and then Sunday is boom, 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 boom. Like this is the big finale for a great company.
And we list off all the names, and we still haven't seen some of the mainstays on there. So you never know if they're going to show up, and they're going to make their presence felt. So it's something to look forward to. It's going to be a phenomenal ending to a company that's been a mainstay around this area. Around the New York region for the last 10 years. It's going to be something to behold. And the only hope that we have at anything coming close to this is a possible reunion tour of the future, but who knows if that's ever going to happen.
Well, you never say never in wrestling, you know that. So.
Oh, precisely.
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of...
That's my hope, is a reunion tour every couple of years, but who knows?
I know the fan demand would be there, obviously, and... If you look at all the ECW reunion shows that have popped up over the last however many years, it's definitely not outside of the reality that it could happen. Obviously, nothing's in the talks now. Let's just get through the weekend. But yeah, there's always that possibility.
Well, that's good to hear. And if there's one thing I've learned by hanging around athletes in general, but especially professional wrestlers, is that you can only be gone from it for so long before you really want to start doing it again.
Yeah, it gets back in your blood.
And that isn't just the people in the ring.
Go away.
That's the people in the office. It's the people running the show. It's the people calling the show.
Look at the fans. I mean, some fans go away for a little while, and it gets back into the blood, and they start watching again. It's everybody that's involved in this, from the fans to executives. It's everybody.
Oh, yeah. And you never know who's gonna see this show, and then be like, "Hey, I want to start my own promotion." And since 2CW is going to be gone, there's a market right there. And look at all the people that are at that show watching it. You're going to watch it on the internet pay-per-view, and people are going to see that, and they're going to see the crowd, and it's sold out, and they're hot. If you ever been...
Patrick, are you there? I think we might have...
Oh, am I there?
Oh, no, yeah, you're back. Okay, you just cut
okay.
off for a second. Go ahead. Continue.
And, the pastime has that atmosphere, and somebody could be watching it and be like, hey, I got all this money just sitting around. I'm going to do something with it. It could happen.
And that's the funny thing is that I don't think people necessarily, especially if you're a casual wrestling fan, you don't necessarily realize this, but I remember 10 years ago, before 2CW was forming, thinking to myself that I wish that there was an independent promotion in New York.
Yes.
And people don't realize, but there is more to getting a promotion up and going in New York. It's more difficult to do it in New York than almost any other state in the country. There's certain things you have to do with the athletic commission and certain insurance things that you don't have to worry about. So it's a lot more costly. It takes a lot more to get off the ground. And if you can manage to pull that off, a lot of places can only do that for a handful of shows before they just bankrupt themselves. Or they get exhausted, or they run out of money.
Or they move out of the area. I mean, there's been a few of them that started mostly in the New York City area, but they tried to get a name, and then they went to a different area outside of the state because, like you said, the cost of it is just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fact that 2CW was able to not only get off the ground to begin with, because I still remember seeing people passing out flyers for 2CW shows at a WWE house show, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Yeah. And that kind of started everything. That they actually got it off the ground, not only, but kept it going for a decade.
If you want to talk about a grassroots campaign for something, it was 2CW that is a perfect example.
Oh, absolutely. So it's really impressive, the run they've had, all the amazing names that have come through, and the fact that they're going out with this big of a show and this big of a weekend. Again, like I said, it is sad to see them go. I think it's going to leave a void. Yeah, it's going to be a void that is not going to be filled for some time. Yeah,
and I'm sad to see this go. Extremely sad to see this go because it gave me something to do when it came up. But as sad as I am to see it go, I'm beyond happy to have had this happen in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and it's going out with Celebration. Yes. It's going out in a big way. Everybody is going to have just an awesome time at these three shows.
It's not limping. It's not dragging. It's going.
And that's why that's why we're doing it now. The boss didn't want to. We're limping along. The crowds are dwindling. The people just don't care anymore. We didn't want to get to that point. While we're on top, while we're our hottest, let's go. What else? And we talked about this earlier at the beginning. What else can we do? We've put on 3 previous pay-per-views, and the first 2 we gave away, and more than 20,000 people in the first week watched both of those shows.
And then we hit number 1 on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. Both of those times they were number 1. I Am 2CW was trending worldwide, and that's ridiculous. Like, not even the top indie guys, promotions get that.
Yeah,
it's a thing. It came out of this area.
Absolutely
blows my mind.
Yeah, and you think about the people that watched it live, and then if you go watch to the torrent sites and you watch the thousands of people that downloaded it after the fact, even though it was free, people go and download it to watch it so they can watch it whenever they want. I mean, it really was a grassroots deal. We even made WWE's radar. I don't know if you guys saw that list of the top 10 companies they were looking at like 6-8 months ago. All the big names were there, and then there's 2CW.
Yeah, I did see that, yeah. So, Squared Circle Wrestling has made a huge impact in independent wrestling, and while it will be very sad to see it go, we're going to enjoy this weekend for sure.
Yeah, and, especially since a lot of the guys that I used to watch show after show and, chat with somebody here and there, seeing them on television every week now, it's that's a testament to 2CW. That is that's a legacy.
To be able to look at Kevin Owens and be like,
Kevin Owens,
I know that guy.
Luke Harper, man, I miss Luke Harper being around this area tremendously.
Oh yeah, you ain't the only one.
But to see him on television every week, it's worth the trade off.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about like the impact that some of these guys have had in this little area. Guys. I have a friend of mine who was partially who trained with and by Luke Harper, Brody Lee, and his son's name is Broderick Liam. That gives you the kind of idea that some of the impact that these guys have had on people in this area, not just with fans, but with other wrestlers, with local guys. There's been so much. It's 2CW has always kind of comments that this is kind of a family of people, and it really is true.
It is absolutely. It's a family.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. I think we've said all we can say. Patrick, if people want to find out more about this weekend, or if they want to get in touch with you, why don't you just go ahead and give us some websites, some Twitter handles. Let's go ahead and tell people how to get the information they need.
Sure. Okay. Let's start with Twitter. If you go to the main 2CW Twitter, it's at 2CW, the number 2CW. You can find me on Twitter as well at 2CW Agent Fenton. WWEWrestling.com is the website. That is where you're going to want to go to get the access to the pay-per-view.
Sorry, you cut out there. I just want to repeat that. That's 2CWWrestling.com.
2CWWrestling.com. I believe you can type in 2CW.com as well. It'll forward you to that page. And that is where you're going to want to go to get the live stream for the event on Sunday. The event on Sunday starts at 3:30, like you mentioned. Will end approximately 6. There will be an hour intermission, and then after that, approximately 7 o'clock, we will start up with the second of the 2 sets.
Okay, and if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can check us out on Twitter. Our handle is @ChangingTheQs. That's @ChangingTheQS. You can also just send us an email, changingthequestions@gmail.com. And that's going to wrap it up for us. We hope to see you there. If you're we're going to be at the Binghamton show in person. So if you are there, be sure to say hello to us. I'll put some information on Twitter about what we're going to be wearing or whatever. Or you could just ask random people in the crowd, hey, are you the guys that did that podcast thing? And if they say no, then move on. If they say yes, then stay and talk to us.
Absolutely. And I'm at ringside. I'm the timekeeper during the show. So if you're looking you want to chat, I will be at ringside.
All right, great.
Very cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We will hopefully see you this weekend at 2CW. Thank you.
By the way,
Yes.
like this, subscribe, share, do everything you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Pass this around.
Yeah,
we want, especially this show. We want to be sure that this gets around before this weekend. We got just a couple day for the Elmira show, but we have a few days before Syracuse on Sunday. So please be sure to pass this around. Share this with all your friends. Let us know what you think. And that'll do it for us.
Should we attach any hashtags to this, you think?
I'll go ahead and handle that stuff. Don't you worry about that. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much. Patrick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
We really
Appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, thank you. My name is Paul Laporte. That's Mike Miner. And we will see you this weekend at 2CW.
See you at the matches, guys.